free, 10 a.m. Thank you so much for hopping on. As always, it's a pleasure to be here with you, doing something that I love, being able to share it with people who also share my same passion, and completely humbled and grateful to be on this. I mean, it's just, this is something that we've been building and growing together. And every single time we do it, I get more and more excited. So thank you for being here. Our last webinar was a great success. We had even more dealer representation. And every time we hop on, we're growing and growing. We're building our wolf pack and our community. And I'm just as excited now as I was on the first webinar to kind of continue this journey together and see what it turns into, right? As always, little housekeeping, Q&A, guys, Q&A. Drop your questions in the chat. I will be able to review them after the webinar, or email me at any time. Anytime you have a question, shoot me an email. And please, any suggestions you have for future webinars, any topics that you want to see discussed, I promise you, shoot me an email and we'll actually go over them on the next webinar. Charles, if you could drop a link in the chat, we're going to offer the free one-on-one Zoom training, guys. Free one-on-one Zoom trainings for the first 5 people that register. We've been having great success with this. If you've done one so far, I'm sure you'll say that it was very valuable. I got a lot out of it. I hope you got a lot out of it too. So the first 5 people to sign up, Charles is going to drop a link. Just fill out the form, and you're going to lock in a free one-on-one Zoom training with me to go over anything that you want to go over, sharpen any tools, and we can work together to continue to grow our skill sets. Also, Charles, if you could drop the link to the channel. Guys, if you don't mind, just take a quick second, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I post new video content on there, and every day I add a YouTube short. So we have constant content being posted to that channel, sales training tips. Please subscribe to it. I appreciate it. And at the end, as always, we're going to go over an exclusive offer that I have for you guys. So in today's agenda, we're going to talk about a couple different things. Number one, we're going to talk about Brene Brown and her thoughts on guilt and shame. And I'll tell you how that ties into sales training. If you're wondering, what does that have to do with sales? We're going to go over that. Brene Brown on guilt and shame. We're going to talk about navigating choppy waters in the automotive industry and in today's market. A little bit different than it was last year and the year before and years prior to that. How are we going to navigate these choppy waters together? And we're going to go over some word tracks to battle higher interest rates. I know we're all talking about it right now. We're all dealing with it. We're going to go over some word tracks to overcome higher interest rates, because I know we're faced with that every day in the dealership. Quick little message to you guys. And this is coming directly from the heart, as do all of my messages. I spent a lot of time this week, 4 different dealerships in person, doing a lot of one-on-ones with salespeople. And I know right now the market's a little different than it was last year, a little different than it was a couple months ago. I get it. It may be a little slower in your store. You may be feeling a little down on yourself. You may be going back and forth in your head. Is this sales game for me? But I promise you one thing. If you're on this webinar right now, if you're watching this, in the future, if you end up watching this on YouTube, you should be proud of yourself. And I truly mean that, because there's some salesperson right now in a dealership, it might be your dealership, I don't know, but it could be the dealership down the street. Statistically, it's a fact, who just quit. They just walked out and they just said, I can't do it anymore. I just can't handle the heat. And the fact that you're on here, you should really be proud of yourself, because that's a big deal. You didn't throw in the towel. So if you just hang in there, if you can just last, right? And not to sound cliche, but if you just don't quit before the miracle happens, I promise you, you're going to get through the other side. No matter what's going on in your life, no matter what's going on in your business, if you just don't quit and you just hang in there, we're going to hang in there as a team, as a family. We're going to get through this. I absolutely promise you that. And if you're just starting out in your car selling career, just know you don't have to run the fastest. You don't have to run the fastest. You don't have to pick everything up as quickly as humanly possible. You just have to be willing to run the furthest and not quit the race when other people around you are dropping out, because right now somebody didn't show up to work today because they said, you know what, I just can't hang in there, or they're walking out of their dealership right now after giving their resignation, and you aren't, and you're here, and you should be proud of yourself. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. All right, let's talk about Brene Brown, guilt and shame. So what does this have to do with selling cars, right? So let me just give you a little backstory. talking about the conversations I've been having this week with a lot of people. We're talking about self-doubt. We're talking about lack of motivation. We're talking about struggling with positivity. A lot of these conversations I'm having, I get it. It's normal. And it reminds me of when I was in my first treatment center, my first treatment center when I was first getting sober. I wasn't a first-time winner. I had to go twice, unfortunately. But the first stop that I made was in a facility called Miramont in Pennsylvania. And they showed us a TED Talk by Brene Brown, where she discussed guilt and shame. Guilt and shame. She's a New York Times best-selling author. She's a doctor of psychology, and she talked about guilt and shame. So how does this pertain to sales? How does guilt and shame pertain to sales? Well, I kind of created an analogy in my head this week, and I think it does. It does stand true, and I think it'll resonate with you. Even though times may be a little slower for you right now, even though times may be a little slower, I think about guilt and shame, and Brene Brown said that guilt is I did a bad thing, but shame is that I'm a bad person. See, guilt is I did a bad thing. Shame is I'm a bad person. So how does that translate to sales? Well, yes, you may be in a rut, right? The guilt, yes, you may be in a rut, but that doesn't mean you're a bad salesperson. Yes, times may be slower for you, right? Times may be slow, but that doesn't mean you're a bad salesperson. And I want you to remember that you're not a sign of the times. Yes, it may be tough, but it has no more reflection on you as it would. Let's say Bryce Harper goes up to bat tonight, right? Bryce Harper goes up to bat. He goes 0 for 3. Is he a bad baseball player? Would you not want him over anybody right now in the postseason? Doesn't mean he's a bad baseball player. It means he had a tough game. So I want you to compartmentalize that and separate the market conditions, right? And don't you point the market at you as a weapon and make it indicative of how you feel about yourself as a salesperson, because we've all been in ruts before. We've all been in ruts, right? I'm sure you've been in a rut. I've been in a rut. Sometimes I find myself in a rut every day that I got to kind of get myself out of. And if you've been in a rut before, I want you to think about, because I know a lot of us are going through this right now. How did you get out of it last time? How did you get out of the rut last time? What did you do? What did you do? Did you write down some goals for yourself and then take one step at a time trying to accomplish them? Did you go do one thing that could help move the ball forward, move the needle, get 1% better at your craft? What did you do last time when you were in that rut? And I'm sure you got out of it, right? Because we've all made it through our worst days of our lives so far. We've all made it through the worst day of our life, and we're sitting here still, and we didn't quit. So think about the ruts of the past. Think about the slumps of the past. And start to kind of reverse engineer back how you got out of those. I put make a free throw here on the slide. They say that when a shooter in basketball is in a slump, the worst thing you can do is send him to the foul line. Why is that? If a guy's cold shooting, why is sending him to the foul line the worst thing you could do? Because him seeing the ball go through the net is something that's going to create momentum for him. That's the worst thing you can do, is let that basketball player see the ball go through the net. So how do you make a free throw? How do you get a nice, easy layup, a nice, easy shot? Just pick one thing that you do really well. What's your niche? What's the one thing that you think you do just as good, if not better, than anybody else? And if you're in a little bit of a slump right now, just go do that. Slow it down. Simplify it. It could be posting on social media. You could be really good at creating content. It could be working the phones. It could be follow-up. It could be customer service calls to service customers to see how their experience is going with their current vehicle. Nice, easy call, right? Nice soft entryway. Giving a call to service customers, see how their experience is going on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being perfect. How would you rate your experience, Mr. Jones, with your current vehicle? I'd give it about a 7. A 7, okay, let me ask you this. What would make it a 10? Well, I really wish I had leather. Boom. Now you have a problem you could solve for your customer. Whatever it is that you think you're most comfortable at, go do that after this webinar. Just do one thing. Just do one thing. Take one step forward. See yourself. Get a small win. Make that free throw. Make that free throw. Navigating choppy water. So how do we navigate, these tough times? And we talk about, in a lot of the one-on-ones that I do, we talk about motivation. We talk about lack of motivation. We talk about lack of positivity. But motivation isn't the cause of action. You don't create action by being motivated. See, motivation is not the cause of action. It's the byproduct of it. You take action first, and then you become motivated. A lot of us are waiting to muster up the motivation to go and do that next right thing. But we got to do the next right thing. Don't worry about if you feel good doing it. Just do it. Then that's going to feel good and you're going to want to do more of it. You got to find motivation in your discipline, in your consistency, and in your processes, tried and true processes, things that you know you should be doing, things that work, right? Whether you feel like doing them or not, just do them. Just do the next right thing, whatever it may be, whatever your requirements are for your dealership, whatever you know is going to help move the ball downfield. We all know what the things are. We just don't always feel motivated to do them. Just do one thing. Just do one thing, and I promise you it'll feel a little bit better, and you will feel a little more motivated to the next one. I actually read this quote on Facebook today. I was in the gym about an hour and a half ago, and this guy, Scott D. Clary, said this, and I really liked it. He said, if you depend on motivation, you've already lost. Build habits and systems stronger than your feelings. I love that. Build habits and systems stronger than your feelings, right? Who cares about our feelings? Who cares whether or not we feel like doing it or not? Do we want to get paid? Do we know by doing the next right thing, whatever it may be, that next phone call, that next post on social media, that next text message, that next test on your training portal, right? That just silly stuff, right? Calling your customer to get their updated insurance, the next right thing. We know it's the right thing to do. Let's just do it. We battle this chicken and egg dilemma all the time, right? We battle it all the time. And what's the chicken and egg dilemma I'm talking about? I had this conversation with a salesperson one of the days this week. I said, oftentimes we wait for the results to happen in order for us to be happy and positive. So we wait, as soon as I get that next deal, I just need a nice fat deal. I just need to close something and I'm going to feel happy. Then I'm going to be positive, I promise. But it's the chicken and egg. We got to be positive and happy first in order to make that next deal. You can't just wait for the deal to be happy and positive. You got to be happy and positive to make the deal. I know this sounds like, rah-rah stuff, but let's face it. Am I right? Right? I didn't make this up. I learned this, right? I've been studying this. I learned this from a lot of you too. We all learn this from each other. Like, we got to be happy and positive in order to then see the success. We can't wait for the success to be happy and positive. I promise you. Fake it till you make it sometimes. Fake it till you make it. Act as if, and you will see the results. My cousin Jeff, shout out to cousin Jeff, he always labels himself an eternal optimist. Cousin Jeff always tells me he's an eternal optimist. What's an eternal optimist? It's somebody that always looks at the glass half full, always looks at the water bottle half full. And I feel like when we start selling cars, we're all very optimistic. It's beginner's luck, right? It's beginner's luck. We're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. We're on the pink cloud, as they call it in recovery. Our eyes are wide open to all the possibilities of the world. If you're going through a tough time, if it's a little bit slow for you, or if you've been in the business for a little while and you're losing that motivation, just try to recapture that optimism of all of the possibilities, all of the positivity that you can find in your career. Try to think back to when you first started. There's a book that I like called The Zen Mind, and it says, in the mind of the beginner, there are many possibilities, and in the mind of the expert, there are few. In the mind of the beginner, there are many possibilities, but in the mind of the expert, there are only few. Because what happens is we start to lose that eternal optimism as we go through our career because we've been conditioned by the market. We've been conditioned by those customers that don't appreciate us. Shout out to a salesperson that's on here right now. You know I'm talking to you. They don't appreciate us, all the things that I do for them. Well, kill them with kindness and don't worry about. Listen, at the end of the day, if customers are beating you up and beating up your psyche, toughen up, right? Don't worry about how much they like you. Worry about getting paid. Worry about getting paid. That's all I care about. Do they like me enough to buy from me? I don't care how they feel about me afterwards. Do you like me enough to buy from me? Are you going to turn in a perfect survey? Yes. Do I want to be my customers for life? Of course I do. Of course I do. But I'm not going to get my feelings hurt. It's not personal. It's just business. If you feel like you're bending over backwards for all these customers, they don't appreciate it. You got to know this truth, though, guys. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it for you. You're selfishly doing it for you because you feel better offering the experience that you offer to your customers. You're not doing it for them. So how they respond to it, yes, it matters, but don't allow yourself to get negative. Don't beat yourself up in your own mind. If you feel like customers aren't giving you back or reciprocating the amount of effort you're giving them, it's not personal, it's just business. Just like in poker, when a guy plays for the first time and wins all the money, you're like, how did this guy win? He doesn't even know how to play. Or the salesperson that just hits the sales floor and bumps into a fat deal, it's because they dummied it down. They don't know any better. They're keeping it simple. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Have that eternal sense of optimism that things are going to work out. Stay positive. I know you're saying, easy for you to say, well, guys, I'm battling with the same stuff. I got the same stuff going on in my mind, but do we have a choice? What are our choices? It's either being positive or being negative. There is no in between. You either think positively and reframe your mind to find the positivity, or you will think negatively, because your brain is designed to detect threat and detect negativity. That's the way the brain's designed. It's a survival mechanism to pick up on things that are threatening. So your brain's naturally going to search for negativity to protect itself. You have to put the work in to think positively. And sometimes you got to think it, even if you really don't believe it, you got to think it. You got to have a delusional quality. And then eventually you will find that positivity. That's the law of attraction. And that's not psychology. That's physics. That's physics. Put that energy out there. You're going to find it. I promise you. And you want to avoid the landmines, guys. Stop labeling your struggles. Stop saying, oh man, I'm in a slump. Every customer I deal with, nobody wants to buy today. Nobody wants to put money down. Because guess what? If you're thinking that, the next customer probably isn't going to buy today. They're probably not going to put money down, right? You're going in with that mindset. Stop labeling your struggles. Yes, you may have been in a slump in the past, but starting right now, starting on this webinar, you are not in a struggle. The same way that a batter, Bryce Harper, whoever it is, they don't go up the back saying, well, I struck out last time, I'm probably going to strike out right now too. Or I struck out twice the last two at-bats, I'm probably going to strike out a third. Or, hey, I got a hit my first two at-bats, so statistically, I'm probably going to strike. No. They go up with the same mindset every time that he goes up with the same mindset that he's going to swing out of his cleats and hit the ball 5 billion feet. So have that mindset, have that killer mindset, because what happens is it starts to become a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? We start to say, man, I'm really in a slump. Nobody wants to do business today. And then what happens is the next customer, because we're putting that energy out there, right? We're not transferring that certainty, which is that important energy that we have to transfer to our customers. We don't get them to commit to doing a deal today. And then we go, see, I knew it. And there's something about that just feels a little good, right? It feels good that, hey, I know I'm in a slump. I said it. And as it would be proven that I am, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, at least we could say that we're right about what's going on. We get a little comfort from that. But that's self-sabotaging. And manage your self-talk, guys. Manage your self-talk. Manage the things that you're saying to yourself. Think about it. What type of things are you saying about yourself? Are you, like, I'm sure all of you, when you started your car selling career, and I'm sure all of you maybe recently, maybe today, and if it's today, that's great, because then we're kind of ahead of the curve. You all know or feel like you're talented. You were talented enough to start this thing. You all know you have skills. I'm sure all of you feel like customers want to work with you. I think the one thing that we're lacking is that sense of worthiness sometimes, that we deserve, and we're worthy of great things to happen to us. We put in the time and effort. If you're putting in the work, you deserve it. You're worthy of it. You got to talk about some of the things that we say to ourselves in our own mind about ourselves. We would never say to other people. We would never say to other people in fear of hurting their feelings. So if you wouldn't say it to somebody else, don't say it about yourself. And be careful who you're hanging around in the dealership, guys. A lot of times people like to hang around the water cooler, spread negativity. It is cancerous. Be careful who you're hanging around. Misery loves company. Misery loves company. Be mindful of that. You got to put the earmuffs on. If people are talking negative around you, you owe it to yourself not to listen to that, because it's bullshit. I'm telling you, misery loves company. Be careful who you're listening to. When people are rambling on negativity, you got to block that. You got to block it out. You got to block it out. All right, overcoming objections, guys. We got 10 minutes to go. 10 minutes to go. Overcoming objections to battle higher interest rates. These are just some word tracks, guys. I threw some word tracks at you. We got 13 of them. Just little word tracks that you can use, just like building a house. You can't build a house with just one tool. You can't build a house with one tool. Sometimes it takes multiple. You may have to use multiple word tracks in any given close to seal the deal. But one of these may work for you. One of these may work for you. I guarantee it'll definitely increase your chance of success. So number one, word track to battle higher interest rates. Number one, the Fed and the banks set the rates, not the dealership. Mr. Customer, the Federal Reserve, and the banks set the rates, not the dealership, not the dealership. Some customers don't know that. And you may be saying, and everybody knows. Oh, you'd be surprised. Not everybody knows that. We don't set the rates. We don't set the rates. The Fed and the banks set the rates, not the dealership. Here's one that I used a couple of weeks back. I said to the customer, hey, listen, if it was up to me, we'd both be paying 0%. If it was up to me, we'd both be paying 0%. Great salespeople have that perfect balance of ego and empathy. Empathy. I understand how you're feeling. I felt that way too, right? Heck, I'm paying a higher interest rate than I want, but it doesn't mean I didn't want to buy the car still at the end of the day. If it was up to me, we would both be paying 0%. This is an oldie but goodie. Hey, you could always pay cash. Number three, you could always pay cash, right? That's an option. If you wanted to alleviate having to pay the interest, you could pay cash. Would you want to do that? That's a rhetorical question. They're going to say, well, no, I can't pay cash. Totally get it. So why not take advantage of financing the vehicle? Address and redirect. Address and redirect. You could always pay cash. You could always pay cash, right? Another rhetorical question, what's your current rate? Mr. Smith, Mrs. Johnson, what's your current rate? And what about your rate before that? What about the rate on the previous vehicle? What's your current rate? And what about the rate on the vehicle before that? Chances are, guys, they don't even know their current rate. I would say 100% of them do not know the rate before that because it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. They just hear that rates are up and they're using that as ammunition. They're using that as defense mechanism. They're using it as a bargaining chip, a bargaining tool to feel as if they're able to play this back and forth game with us that they claim they don't want to play, but they really do. What's your current rate and what was your rate before that? Chances are they don't know. I'm going to ask them, what if we can make up for the rate in other areas of the deal? What if we can make up for the rate in other areas of the deal, right? In other areas of the deal. Well, what does that mean? Well, if we could somehow maneuver things to make sure we get to your payment goal, ultimately, wouldn't that make the most sense, right? What if we can make up for the rate in other areas of the deal? You try to redirect back to a different part of the deal structure, not to fixate on that rate. Rates are only going up. Number 6, rates are only going up. Jerome Powell and the Fed announced there's going to be one more rate pop this year, and that's a fact. So rates are only going up. Now is the best time to take advantage of financing a vehicle. Rates are only going up. The Fed did announce they're going to raise rates one more time this year. Number 7, the rate is based off of a lot of things. The vehicle, your credit score, your loan to value, LTV, DTI, debt to income, how much debt you have versus how much income you make, the specific lender, a lot of things. But it's not based on our willingness to make a great deal happen for you, right? It's not based on our willingness to make a great deal happen for you. We want to make a great deal happen for you, but we're at the mercy of the banks. We all are. I am too as a consumer. Mr. Customer, I'm a consumer. I finance a car. I'm also at the mercy of the bank. So there's a lot of things that play a part in that interest rate, but none of them are a willingness to make a deal. We want to make, and we are going to make a great deal happen for you. So let me ask you, knowing that the rate is just one piece of the puzzle, the $3,000 down, if it meant getting you the best approval, could you do that today? That's address and redirect. Address and redirect, right? Address and redirect. Number 8, if you were okay with the rate, Mr. Jones, if you were okay with the rate, but the payment was too high, would you do the deal? So if you were good with the rate, right? If you're good with the rate, but the monthly payment was out of your budget, would you do the deal? The answer is going to be no. Well, what does that mean? What's more important, the rate or the payment? Oh, it's the payment. Gotcha. Right? So that's a rhetorical question. If you're okay with the rate, but the payment was too high, would you do the deal? And they're going to say, well, no, because the payment's okay. So it does come down to the payment. Got it. Number 9. Quite frankly, the rate doesn't matter. I mean, the rate really doesn't matter. And that segues from number 8 because only 2 things do matter. The car that you're going to be leaving with today, the one that's going to be in your driveway when you leave to go to work tomorrow, the car you're going to take on family vacation, take your kids to soccer, take your wife to dinner, and the monthly payment. Only 2 things matter. So if one way or another, we can find a way to back into your payment goal, knowing that that's our job. That's our job to figure out. We're at the mercy of the bank when it comes to the rate, but we can get creative to back into your payment goal somehow, some way. I know you're a fair guy, labeling him fair, that he's going to want to act fair, right? Labeling him fair. I know you're a fair guy, and I know you want us to find a way to work together. It's going to take teamwork, a little compromise by him, work together to make a great deal happen for you. If we can back into your payment goal, at the end of the day, the rate doesn't matter anyway. Why not lease, right? Why not lease? If it's a new car, why not lease? Pay no interest. Pay no. Now, I know there's a money fact. Got it. But technically on an interest rate, depending on the leasing company, but why not lease, right? Take advantage of paying no interest and then buy out your lease at the end when rates go down, right? Take advantage of leasing the vehicle now, not paying a high interest rate. And then especially a customer that wants to finance a vehicle, they're going to buy it out anyway. Buy it out in 3 or 4 years when rates go down. Take advantage of paying no interest now, right? That's a workaround. That's a loophole in the market. No interest now by leasing. Buy out the vehicle at the end in a few years when rates go down. Number 11, you can always refinance the loan. You can always refinance the loan. Number 11, you can always refinance the loan. I love this one. If realtors are using this rate, I love this one. You date the rate, right? Realtors will say, you date the rate, you marry the house. You date the rate, you marry the. I love that. So, Mr. Customer, all you're doing is dating the rate. You're going to marry the car. Date the rate and marry the car, because the car is what you're marrying. You're just dating the rate. You're just dating the rate, right? Pretty soon you're going to go on a new date at a lower rate when you refinance. Listen, we're just dating the rate, but we're going to marry the car, right? I like that one. I don't know. I thought it was cute. Number 13, customers that I had in front of me 1 year ago today. 1 year ago today, we had the same conversation. And I bet you those customers who passed on financing a car last year wish now that they did. The same customers I had last year that said the rates are too high, I bet they wish they financed back then because they're lower back then than they are right now. The same customers I had a year ago said the same thing, and I bet they wish they financed back then. And you're going to feel the same way in a couple of months once the rates go back up, right? So I had the same conversation with customers a year ago, and I bet they wish they did the deal back then, right? I bet they wish they did the deal back then. All right, guys, once again, quick little message to you. Times may be tough right now, but so are you. So are you. Don't forget that. Don't forget that if you took a half hour out of your morning on a Friday morning at 10 o'clock, you took a half hour out to hone your skills and get a little bit better at selling cars, you're ahead of 99.9% of all the sales population in the entire world. I promise you, not just car sales, all sales. Nobody's doing this, and you guys are. Jack Ma, the CEO of Alibaba, said this quote. I really love it. I really love it. He said, today is very difficult, and tomorrow is even more difficult. The next day, though, is very beautiful, but most people die tomorrow evening. Today is very difficult, and tomorrow is even more difficult. The next day, though, is very beautiful, but most people die tomorrow evening. And that's not literally, that's figuratively. Most people quit tomorrow night before the miracle happens, before things get easier. Don't quit. I want you to make a promise, not only to me, but a promise to you that you're not going to do that. That the same talent and skill that you know you have, that you know you had when you first started selling cars, you're going to capture that. You're going to remember that. Never lose that. Never lose the internal optimism, the sense of positivity, the sense of worthiness. And you're going to go out there and do what you know how to do. Make yourself that promise. Make me that promise, because I believe in you. I don't know if anybody's told you that recently, but I believe in you. If you're on here right now, I believe in you. And as always, thank you. I'm super grateful for you guys hopping on. I know we packed a lot into a half hour, but I want to get you guys out there selling cars. I'm extremely grateful for you. This is just the beginning of our journey together. We got so much to look forward to. Our next webinar is going to be Friday, November 10th, guys. Friday, November 10th. I don't know if it's going to be on the next one, but coming soon, I'm going to test out the Zoom format that we're going to have for all of the dealers that sign up for our sales university and our formal training that we're launching in a couple months. It's going to be a Zoom format, live. We're going to be able to see each other, question and answer. I'm going to call on people for questions. It's going to be really fun. I don't know if it's going to be on the 10th, but it's coming soon. I want to test that out for free with you guys, but we're going to hop on November 10th on Friday at 10 o'clock. So keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for social media posts. I post every single day on Instagram. Keep an eye out for the emails, guys. I emails almost every day with YouTube videos, training tips, and you can register for all of the webinars when I send those emails. But check us out, guys. Early fall launch, we talked about it before, coming attractions, the Sales University. It's going to be 50 plus video modules to take you from A to Z on how to sell cars, every step of the process, everything you need to know. We're diving deep on a lot of stuff. Obviously, we only have a half hour on these free trainings. We're diving deep, a ton of video modules. It's going to be great. We're going to have the formal Zoom trainings, which you guys are going to love. Open forum, 100 plus of us on there, question and answer, role playing. And as always, I'm never going to forget where I came from. We're going to have some early bird opportunities for all of the dealers that have been on here, been with us from the beginning. We're going to have early bird opportunities for you. Let's hop on a call. Let's do an audit on your dealership, figure out exactly what we can do to tailor a sales training program to take your store to the next level. Q&A, hit me up with questions, guys. My email's in the chat. Hit me up with questions anytime. And guys, give me some suggestions for the next Zoom, for the next training. Give me some suggestions. Whatever you guys want to hear, I promise I'll go over. Give me your feedback. I'm going to send you an email, and then probably in about a half hour or so, please give me your feedback. I'd really appreciate it. You can give your suggestions right on there. I'm going to see you guys on the 10th, November 10th, 10 o'clock. Tell your friends, pass the link around. I want to build our wolf pack, and I thank you as always for being a valued member of our wolf pack, of our family. We're building a great pack here, and I'm super proud to have you guys as part of it. Thank you so much. I love all of you, and I'll see you guys on the 10th. Let's check. Is he in the busy? Is he? Pistol Pete, date the rate, marry the car. Bang, bang. Isaiah, what's up, brother? Andres, what's up, man? Who else we got on here? Who else is still on? Thanks for hopping on, everyone. Still getting over being sick. I know the people that I've met with in person this week, I told you about my little brain fog situation. It's tough for me to kind of connect the thought to the words right now, but I'm fighting through it. We're all fighting through this thing together. Thank you, everyone, for hopping on. I really appreciate it. Young Meech, Nene, Young Meech. Thanks, Andre. Meech, why is Big John always talking about your barber, bro? I think we got to bring Big John to the barber. Lolo, Robert, my pleasure. Nene. Thank you guys for everything. I'm going to click and sign off. Have a great day. I believe in all of you. I love all of you. You guys are awesome. Peace.